Since 2015, Brandeis students have had the incredible opportunity to come on Brandeis-in-Siena through a partnership between Brandeis University and the Siena Art Institute.
Students live in the historic center of Siena. With the city at their doorstep, every day they're experiencing the sights, sounds, and tastes of Tuscany. Being able to explore both in their free time as well as in group excursions, students are able to participate in daily life here and develop a deeper understanding of how history connects to contemporary culture.
The courses the students are taking are Brandeis credit. They're not transfer credit. So it's just like you're taking a class on Brandeis's campus, except instead you're here.
The studio course is intensive, but it's open to students of all backgrounds and levels who can benefit from the immersive environment. The painting course focuses on traditional painting techniques such as glazing from grisaille, but interweaves subject matter from their contemporary experience here abroad.
As an art history student, for me, it's an amazing opportunity just to be in proximity to all the artworks and get to experience them in person and see them in real life.
Here, you can feel it, you can talk to it, you can interact with the artwork itself.
You get the true sense of scale and color, and especially with all these gilded backgrounds, you can really get the sense of the shine.
I really like the sense of community here in Siena.
As a painter, I think it's so important to actually get to see the works up close and what the artists have done. And it's so amazing to do all of this in such an amazingly, inspiringly beautiful landscape as well.
Students have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to take studio art history classes while living in the picturesque region of Tuscany.
All right. This was just a quick preview of our Brandeis-in-Siena program. And thank you all to our viewers who are clicking to join us today for the broadcast. I am Lisa Nonkin. I'm the academic director of the Siena Art Institute, and we're really delighted to have with us today two of the professors of the Brandeis-in-Siena program, Professor Jonathan Unglaub from Brandeis's Art History Department, and Professor Franca Marini from the Siena Art Institute, our painting professor. We also have our representative, Ari, from the Brandeis Study Abroad office. And of course, it's wonderful to have our audience with us today as well. Feel free to ask questions during this broadcast in the comment section, which we will be able to respond to during this presentation. To start off with, though, we'd like to just share with you a few images of the program to help you understand the context and especially how the two different courses sort of dovetail, how they fit together to make this very intensive, immersive experience. So the courses of art history as well as studio painting are based in Siena, which is, as you see here on the map, right in the center of Siena. And our location is connected to the historic city center of Siena. Our building itself is next to Porto Romano, one of the historic city gates. And we have our library, our studios, as well as the sort of greenery that surrounds our building. We've been in this location since 2019. So for some of our previous Brandeis-in-Siena students, this is a new location, but we've been here for a while now. And of course, the city itself is a wonderful resource that we love to share with our students to really see the city. So again, we have with us today the two professors who can share with you more details about their specific courses. So I will turn the microphone now over to Jonathan Unglaub.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, everyone, for joining us. My name is Jonathan Unglaub. I've been a professor of art history at Brandeis for 20 years now, and my specialty is in Renaissance and Baroque art. Most of my publications are on the French artist who worked in Italy, Nicolas Poussin. But I've written widely over the period. I studied abroad myself as an undergraduate at the University of Michigan in Florence, and I only had one tantalizing afternoon in Siena. So it's been a great thrill for me to have spent 2 summers in Siena thus far, leading this program. And I'd just like to share some slides of Siena and talk a little bit about the course. And I need to share this. I'm hitting share here.
Okay. Sometimes there's just a slight delay, so
Okay, great.
they should be coming in.
It says stop screen or video file. Okay, there. Well, share screen. There it is. Okay. And okay, are they visible? No. Okay, well, they should be coming up, correct? Or
Let's see. Since they came in before, we know that you've got them, so they should be connecting.
okay, let me just share. I'm going to go to share screen again.
Okay.
Just share screen. Share your entire screen. Share. And let me start the PowerPoint. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Okay, wonderful. So the Brandeis-in-Siena program incorporates both a painting course and an art history course focused on late medieval and early Renaissance art in Tuscany. And the painting course, as Professor Marini will detail, involves several projects, including one that incorporates some earlier techniques. It's been a thrill to teach 2 previous summers with wonderful groups of students in Siena. Just to whet your appetite a little bit, this is the cathedral, the Duomo, which is the site of numerous monuments and works of art we examine in the class. It's the most beautiful Gothic cathedral in Italy. And this is the main square of Siena, a place you'll come to know well, the Palazzo, Piazza del Campo, with the great medieval town hall, the Palazzo Pubblico, looming above it. And there are many works of art that we'll be investigating there as well. When you participate in this program, you stay in apartments in the historic center of Siena. One apartment building is this one here that dates back to the 1300s. So you're really part of the fabric of the city in your everyday life. And then you cross the city to go to the Siena Art Institute, our academic partner, where the classroom and the art studio are housed, although the studio within the Institute is just kind of the first sort of step in your total immersion in Siena and Tuscany. A number of the projects take place outdoors, visiting various sites around Siena and other cities in Tuscany. And here you can see the beautiful gardens that surround the Siena Art Institute, which provide inspiration for some of the projects. And you can see the studios within. In the art history class, yes, we occasionally meet in the classroom, but the real impetus for this art history class is to be out in the city and looking at monuments and museums, churches, palaces in Siena, but also through excursions elsewhere in Tuscany and nearby regions. Here, we have the opportunity to teach on site and study the works of art close up. And this is really an unparalleled experience. And Siena, although visitors do come to Siena, it's not as overrun as other centers such as Florence and Rome tend to be during the summer. So we're able to study these works with tranquility and real engagement, and to have some extraordinary discussions. Here we also are studying not just paintings and sculptures that happen to be in museums and churches, but we're really looking at the medieval city itself as our course laboratory. And we take many walks throughout the city, study architecture, palaces, the urban environment, and the accretions of ages and different eras of time that are inscribed into the structures around Siena. It's a constantly living and evolving city. In addition, of course, to studying works of art and making artwork on your own, one of the great advantages of studying in Italy, of course, is the exceptional food, and not to mention gelato, and of course, being able to participate in the weekly and food markets, which are wonderful bazaars and extremely colorful. In addition to the sites in Siena, that will be the main focus of the art history course there and the studio course. There are also a number of excursions. A couple of classes will take place in Florence, the capital of Tuscany, and we'll visit such wonderful sites as the Accademia Gallery, which houses Michelangelo's David, the cathedral with its dome by Brunelleschi, and the wonderful museum next door that houses the gilt bronze gates by Ghiberti to the earlier baptistry structure. And we'll also visit, of course, the Uffizi Gallery, which contains many of the masterpieces we study in the art history class. And you can see, even with the crowds in the Uffizi, it's still possible to get close to the works and study them with in sort of great discerning proximity. There will also be drawing assignments associated with the excursions to Florence, but we'll also be visiting other places such as Assisi, where the Basilica of San Francesco contains the most important cycle of medieval frescoes, including those that were produced by major Sienese painters that we'll be looking at. And also Assisi, like Siena itself, is surrounded by breathtaking countryside, which we will have the opportunity to document and study in drawing exercises. Other places that we'll visit include the absolutely enchanting hill town of San Gimignano, which has a number of important churches and fresco cycles, but also breathtaking surroundings. And we will also visit one of the great monuments from the sort of starting point of the art history class, the cathedral complex in Pisa. So if you have any more questions about the program, please don't hesitate to contact me or Ari Mefeski, who is joining this meeting. And I'm now going to turn it over to Professor Marini, who will say a little bit more about the paintings class.
Grazie, thank you, Jonathan. Hi to everyone, and it's a pleasure to talk with you about the Brandeis-in-Siena painting class. And just a few words about myself. I was born and grew up in Siena, where I had my initial art training in painting at the Istituto d'Arte. And then I continued studying painting at the Academy of Fine Arts in Florence. At the end of my artistic training, I moved to the United States, where I lived and worked as a professional artist, as a painter, in San Francisco, and then for about 10 years in New York City. And you can view a couple of paintings of mine, which I painted which I created in New York. So it's after many years research in painting, I felt the need to explore other media, such as video art, installation art. These are a couple stills of my first video, Urban Lines, where I combined footage of New York City with footage of Siena's countryside. And so this is a site-specific work located at the Istituto della Resistenza in Siena, in which I incorporated the historical footage of the video about the liberation of Siena in 1943 at the end of Second World War, as you can see from the upcoming details. It's a real pleasure to teach painting at this really unique, intensive summer program in Siena. And the students will learn painting fundamentals based on Italian painting tradition, while immersed in the historic and contemporary life of one of the most important medieval centers in Europe, and which has given remarkable contributions to the development of Italian painting. And also for the painting class, besides studio work, field trips are a very important feature. And here we are in a field trip with Professor Jonathan Unglaub in one of the most characteristic alleys in Siena, Vicolo degli Orefici. And the alley is filled with potted plants by residents, as you can see. And the students who will join this program will have the wonderful opportunity, as also Professor Jonathan was saying, to see in person medieval and Renaissance masterpieces. And here we are in one of the churches in Siena, admiring a beautiful, a remarkable work by one 1500 Sienese painter. And here, sketching from the Trinity of Masaccio in the Santa Maria Novella Church in Florence. The painting class is based on 4 main projects. 2 working from life with oil paint, and 2 projects based on students' interpretations of reality with oil paint and or mixed media. The first project is a still life painting. We will follow those steps based on historic techniques of Italian painting, beginning with underpainting, abbozzo in Italian language, light shading, chiaroscuro, and glazing, and so on. And here you can see some images of the students at work in the studio. And this is a work by one of the students. The second project will be a cityscape landscape painting. And the following are a couple of sites nearby the Siena Art Institute students could work from. This project, in fact, the students will work on site, outdoors, in plein air. This is one site, and this is the other site. This site characterizes what still nowadays makes Siena unique, which is the harmony and perfect integration between cityscape and landscape. And as you can enjoy also from this aerial view of Siena surrounded by the countryside, this is sort of magic integration between the city and the countryside has basically remained intact since the times of the Good and Bad Government, the worldwide famous wall painting painted by Ambrogio Lorenzetti inside the city hall of Siena, which you can see from this slide, in the 1300s. And the next, on the left, you can see the city hall, and on the right, the Sala de Nove inside the city hall, where the wall painting is, which is like a worldwide famous It's a very important work, which of course we will not miss the opportunity to visit. And this is the detail from the good government, which represents the harmony and the dialogue, the relationship between the life in the city and the life in the countryside. The third project will be based on the interpretation, on the students' interpretation of one masterpiece, which each student will select during a visit at the Pinacoteca, a National Museum, Siena, which holds one of the most important gold background artworks. Here is an image of the museum. And this is a sample from one of the students' works. On the left, you have a piece by Giovanni di Paolo from the 1400s, and on the right, you have the interpretation of the student. And the student creates a triptych, a multi-panel artwork, which was very much in use in medieval times, but also during the Renaissance. And the fourth project will be based on the Contrada. The Contrada are Siena's neighborhood groups, and whose modern life intersect tradition, symbolism, and culture. And the social life, the community, the sense of community in the Contrada is very important. And here, all year round, and they set the tables on the streets, and they have like collective dinners, as you can see from this slide. These are the flags of the Contradas in front of one of Siena's medieval palazzo. And here you can see flags and costumes of the Contradas, and on the right you have two flag wavers of the Contrada dell'Aquila. This is from the Contrada del Nicchio. And this is a work by one of the students, and where the students integrated the symbols of the Contradas with the medieval structure of Siena. And these students selected one specific, the symbol of one specific Contrada, Val di Montone, and created an interesting composition with the detail of one of the windows of the city hall, as you can see in this image. And now let's move to some questions.
I think you're muted.
My apologies. So thank you so much to both of you for sharing a glimpse into your courses. And in fact, I was wondering if maybe you could say a bit about how the courses dovetail. Maybe Jonathan, if you could explain a bit about how the work that students are doing in the studio then connects with what they're learning in art history.
In some ways, they're designed to interact with one another. In particular, the third assignment, in which the student chooses a painting from the Pinacoteca to work on their own personal interpretation. In many cases, those are works that we've studied in the art history class. So the student is aware of the historical context and the background, and that can or may not inform their own kind of personal interpretation of the work. But that's just one example in how the classes intersect.
See, in fact, and personally, I think that for the students to learn about the history and about the different styles of Italian painting, and to have an opportunity to analyze, to see them in person and to analyze them with in the history class, I mean, it can be very inspiring and also very important for the artistic development, and so also for their studio work. And as a matter of fact, one project is really based on their interpretation of one of these masterpieces. And then very important also all the field trips that we take together.
Right, exactly.
We visited together many museums and Assisi, Florence, and so like students are capable of understanding the works and the different historical perspective, and also like more like a painting techniques and more connected to the painting class.
Yeah, we travel. The trips are designed to enhance both courses. Meaning, to some degree, they're selected for the art history course and the major works we cover in the art history course. But in all of the trips, there's time set aside for drawing or engaging in this landscape or copying monuments that we're studying.
Yes, that's wonderful to hear. And a question maybe for the folks there on the Brandeis campus, in terms of students who are interested, are there prerequisites that are required to enroll in the program?
It's recommended to have had some studio experience before, but it's not absolutely necessary. And the studio course, you're monitored and assessed based on your project and your progress and your commitment, I think is fair to say. And for art history, there's no particular prerequisite for the art history class.
Okay, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, the same for the painting class. I mean, and as Professor Jonathan said, I mean, what's really important is the commitment and the progress. I mean, very important, like what the student will actually be able to learn, and also the involvement the student has for the class. So it's not really a must to have had a previous drawing or painting class.
Great. And certainly I'll just remind our viewers, if you do have questions, feel free to write them in the comment section, either on Facebook or on YouTube, since we'll be able to respond to them during this live stream. I don't know if maybe from the study abroad office perspective, if you might want to say a few words about the process that students would need to go through in terms of if they're interested in the program.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Ari Masevsky. I'm a study abroad advisor at Brandeis, and I work with students who are interested in this and a number of our other study abroad programs. Brandeis-in-Siena is a really unique opportunity, as you have just heard, to step into a different culture, to explore things from a perspective you wouldn't be able to get if you weren't in Siena. And we would love to talk to you about your interest in the program and how you can go about applying. The application deadline for Brandeis-in-Siena for summer of 2021 is March 18th. So that deadline is coming up. It's 2 weeks from today. And so if you are interested in learning more about the program, if you're interested in submitting an application, please feel free to write to us, to reach out to me, reach out to Professor Unglaub or Professor Marini, and check it out on the Brandeis Study Abroad website. The other thing that I just always like to mention, although this is, a Brandeis program, and it does tend to be majority Brandeis students, if you're out there and you're not a Brandeis student, but you think this sounds like an amazing opportunity, we always have at least a few students who are not from Brandeis who are on the program. And if this is the perfect program for you, then we would love to talk to you about how you can become a part of the community for the summer.
Wonderful. Thank you. There's a few questions that have come in from our viewers. There was Maggie who's asking, I heard if we don't have to learn any Italian, but we do, but will we have any Italian lessons while we're there? Maybe I can answer that question. We will have a type of Italian language boot camp of sorts when you first arrive, really just to give you a working vocabulary to be able to navigate a grocery store, also to be able to understand some of the terminology that you might see during your museum visits, but certainly both courses are taught in English. It's a very intensive course with these two things. To add a third Italian course would be too much to handle. So
there wouldn't be time in the day. So the Italian course takes place during the orientation, the first week of the program orientation. So there's Italian in the morning, and then there are walking excursions throughout the town throughout the city in the afternoon.
Yes.
For
And
Brandeis
there was,
students-
sorry, yes, there was another question that came in from Mark, who was asking, do you have to be an art major to do this program?
No, not really.
No.
We are just, as we were saying earlier, it's not a must to have had a previous drawing or painting class. So you can be a beginner. The class is open to both beginner and intermediate or advanced students. So
And
the class is, I mean, it's like it's not a large number of students, like a sort of small groups of students and a small group of students. So this allows for the teacher to follow each student individually, regardless of their level. So don't worry about that.
And also, I mean, in the past, there have been students from all backgrounds, academic backgrounds at least, participating in the program. There are always some majors, but there are people who are just taking the program to do something different. And at minimum, you fulfill your Brandeis Creative Arts distribution requirement by participating in the program. And some people do it just for that, or they just do it out of their own interest and love of Italy and curiosity and zest for adventure if they've already fulfilled their creative arts requirement. So really there's a real diversity. I mean, yes, perhaps about half or slightly more of the students are art history or studio majors. But even at Brandeis, as you well know, many art history or studio majors are also majoring in computer science or biology or economics, so the whole mix of students.
Great. There was another question that just came in asking about the level, if the course would be open also to pre-college students, but I believe you'd need to be a matriculated undergraduate student to be eligible for the program. Is that right?
We would love to talk to this person about their interest in the program. It is possible to participate in the program the summer prior to matriculating in college, and I don't know more details just based on the question I see here.
Sure, but we can follow up. So, but for the first part of the question, in terms of materials, oil is the primary medium that you work with during the class, Franca, is that right?
Yes, oil paint is the main technique we will use in the painting class. Exactly, yes.
All right.
And the students are aware. They are also invited to experiment with mixed media in one of the 4 projects. But the oil paint is the main technique we will use.
Great. Wonderful. Well, I think those are the current questions that we've had coming on this stream. So I don't know if there were any further pieces of information we should be including here before we sign off for today's broadcast.
If you're interested in learning more about the program, please go to brandeis.edu/abroad. You can find Brandeis-in-Siena there. You're also welcome to reach out to Abroad at Brandeis.edu for more information about the program, or of course to either of the faculty on the program or to the Siena Art Institute.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all so much for joining us, both our presenters as well as the audience members for joining us today. It's wonderful to have you all here on the live stream, and we look forward to being in touch.
And so,
thank you so much.
Ciao. Ciao. Ciao.
Ci vediamo presto.
Sì,
Presto.
grazie.
See you in Siena.